COS guest.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
It's
the right one, yeah.
COS dash. Oh, okay. How are you doing?
All right.
Good.
How long you back?
Just a week. It was fabulous. I have never been there, so,
Oh,
I got my plane ticket for like $12 through
Oh,
mileage
great.
on my
Wow.
card. Yeah,
I think
so,
Kathleen was gonna
yeah,
pick 'em
it
up
was
when she got
awesome.
back.
I couldn't believe it. Are you guys all recording?
Yeah, just give me one more second. I'm trying
Okay.
to get some minutes going here.
Yeah. Cool.
Kathleen, I have some signs for you that were laminated.
Oh,
that you
wonderful. That was the other
requested.
thing that was on the agenda.
what islands did you pick?
Just the big
Yeah, I
island.
think they got them done
Yeah,
like
I've
the
never
day
been
that she
to
left
any
or
of them, so.
something.
But I was just amazed at how beautiful it was. Have you been there?
Yeah, a couple of
Just,
times.
Nice and cool.
God, just all the flowers
It's nice and cool.
palm trees
I
and
was playing basketball
plants
with
and
my
bushes
oldest
and,
son.
I mean, it's just like paradise. The flowers are just
It's
so
May, love
unusual,
know.
and, nothing like you see around here.
Yeah.
And the fish, I was just, because I've snorkeled and dove in Cayman Islands, and I've been to Antigua and I've been to Bahamas. I didn't dive, I snorkeled in Bahamas, but man, it had as much fish life and coral life as those places. Yeah.
I found it more colorful actually in Florida.
Really?
The coral reefs.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
I
down
was
by
a-
Key
I
West?
was a little,
You have to show me how to do
or Key
So
Largo,
James
there's
gets that
a
up.
John
Uh-huh.
Pennecan.
And gets
Oh,
everything
really?
on the
Yeah.
agenda,
I'll have to
so.
go there.
I seem to, maybe it was because I did it first.
They'll probably get
there.
that.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And
He's
I
been
was
really
just
good.
blown
Well,
away
you
by
know, a
coral
lot of it
reefs, which
is-
we're losing.
And how long
Might
ago
have to
was it?
train
It
me
might
just
not be
Yeah.
quite
to
as,
miss it.
Yeah, I
He's not here
know,
on
when
Wednesday,
they
yeah.
first
Well,
do it.
he just got back
in the
from Hawaii,
70s
too.
probably.
I know he was on
yeah.
I'm
He
gonna
was-
probably need a key to this.
He was
though.
actually in Hawaii just like as of this morning or something.
Yeah,
Who,
he
Brad?
just-
No, James.
James.
Oh, yeah, he was over there. What island was he on?
I think the Big Island.
Yeah, that's where we were.
It was just kind of funny because it was like I think he got back today.
Uh-huh.
He was already at work.
Yeah, we did the red eye, so you don't waste a whole day of paradise. You
Oh,
do the
yeah.
red eye and get
So
back.
do you sleep on planes?
Well,
Because I can't fall asleep on a plane. So.
yeah.
I
Take
used
an
to be-
Ambien and you can.
I used to be able
Oh,
to sleep
yeah.
on the plane, but the seats are too small for me.
Yeah.
There's no place for my head.
Well, I didn't put enough, you can only use reef-safe sunscreen, which I think is really good for the reef, but it's not as effective
not-
as regular sunscreen, and even then, I didn't put any on my back the first day, because it was kind of cloudy, and I just forgot.
Well, if you're snorkeling, that's
Oh
where
my
you're gonna
God,
get
it was
it.
just like, the Wi-Fi password to our house was crispy flamingo. That's exactly what I looked like. And so I couldn't sleep on the plane because I was doing this in the seat because my back was just itching away, so.
We're recording. I don't know where. Did I not give you a name tag yet, Don?
I have no idea.
I thought I did, but I guess I didn't.
Those
I
are
can
all
be
in
the
there.
anonymous.
You want to be Susan, Susan?
Sure.
Who
I'll
orders
answer to
those?
most
Yeah.
things.
Rebecca in our office.
It's not like we have an audience who needs to know who we are.
What's that?
Yeah.
You
Okay,
need
well, and I
100
was
too.
thinking there's another person.
One of the nights,
You don't have
I
to.
had to call into the budget meeting, and that was like 4 hours long. And it was the Trailblazer
I just
game.
have one.
Oh.
And so all
Have it muted.
all my girlfriends were in there watching it, and they're, come on, Kathleen.
So I am ready
just
whenever you
clean
guys
up,"
are.
When they come in, they bring in big drinks for me. I'm like, no, I gotta be. All right, are we on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
We're
call
ready.
the Parks Board meeting for May 8th to order. And has everybody looked at the agenda? So, are there any changes to the agenda? So what we have so far is, I want to talk about the flyers, and so we have to add on the, over by the movie theater, what's that subdivision called?
Champion Village.
Champion Village Development and Longest Day Parkways.
Yes.
So 3 things to add to the agenda. Is there any other changes that we need to talk about?
What was the third one? I'm sorry. Oh, longest day.
Longest Day, yeah.
What was the other one?
The posters.
Oh,
And So for public comment, you do have a new application? Do you have that handy?
I could probably send it to you guys
Okay,
if you give me a few minutes while you're going through other things.
do you know their first name?
Yeah, it's
Amber Pritchard,
Yeah.
is that right?
yep, it is. Yeah, I think I just got it yesterday, and
Very interesting.
I didn't have time to do anything with it yet. Sorry.
Well, that'll be good. I mean, she was on the budget committee and had proposed cutting, she had a bunch of proposed cuts to offset the police, and the parks budget was the biggest cut. That was the thing that I noticed, and I was concerned about that, so. But I also know she seems very interested. She lives in Deer Point, and I asked her, she's got a couple small kids, and she's, lives in Deer Point, so obviously they need a park, and, so it's always good for folks to kind of get get aware of the trade-offs involved. So I guess we can,
Here, I'll forward it
talk
to-
about that at the next meeting or something?
Yeah, I'll forward it to all you guys.
Okay, thanks. Maybe that'll be a new business thing too. Okay.
Yeah, I think next meeting, would you like to? I think they're gonna change the process again on us. So I said, are you guys gonna just have council like interview this person and appoint again? And now I guess they want to have like a board member on there with probably Lori, your council liaison, and then a staff member.
What are we doing? I'm sorry.
I think it's changing again.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it was gonna
More
be like,
change. That's what we
well,
need
it
on the
was gonna
Parks
be-
Board.
So originally, or it used to be like the Parks Board kind of interviewed them, I believe, right? And then you guys selected, and then council either appointed them or not, or maybe they didn't even. And then it went to a few council members meeting with the person and appointing them. I mean, I think that's how yours was done, right, Don? You met with.
Yes.
Yeah, and now I
Well,
think it's
you
going.
you were appointed, right?
Yeah, but I was interviewed by city council first.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't interviewed by the
Right.
council.
Okay, so that process is kind of news to us. Is that
Yeah,
in
and
some
No, but now
document
that
somewhere?
process is going away, I think. And now it's gonna be a board member, so probably the chair is what I would assume.
Okay.
And then a staff member, so it would be Sarah or Tanya or me or something. And then it would be the city council liaison to that board. And the three of those people would interview the person.
So.
Which makes, I think, kind of more sense to me than
Sure,
three city
yeah.
council members.
So I'm just, it's like we don't have any of this documented,
I know.
and it's kind of, it's something I don't even know about, and so how's that going on getting these things I think Kelly was, or not.
The
Kelly,
bylaws and stuff.
Carrie?
So Carrie did yeah, so that was something I was just talking to Sarah about. We do have some drafts now, but I'm trying to, and I was just telling Michael this, I'm trying to figure out, are you guys supposed to adopt them now, or is council? And
Well, I would
haven't
like
got-
to have a chance to review them and give
No,
input before
yeah, definitely
whoever
that.
adopts
I
them.
Yeah,
would
definitely
imagine
that.
council will have to.
Yeah.
So, and then so I think we can bring them to you in June. I was just trying to get an answer on that before I jumped the gun and did something I wasn't supposed to.
Okay,
So I think once I get the go-ahead, or Sarah, then that will come to you in June, I believe.
for review.
Yes.
And input, and
Yeah, correct.
then they can take our comments or not and adopt them.
I believe that's how it's going to work.
Okay.
I
So
don't know.
this new committee then makes a recommendation to the council? And the council says okay
For a new member,
for a new member?
I believe that's how it will work. I'm trying to,
That's fine.
I don't know the exact answer to that, so.
Okay,
It's changed like 3 or 4 times just in the last year or so.
yeah.
I just kind of follow what I'm told to do on it, but it's kind of changed quite a few times, so I don't know. But
Yeah, I
I
think
will
it's,
try to get the person before you guys so you can have another member sooner rather than later.
yeah, and I think it would be helpful, for that person to at least come to a meeting and, both for, I realize now that they can probably sit home and watch it at home, but it's nice to kind of,
I just discovered you can watch it on YouTube.
So if you'd like, I'll reach out to Amber if you want me to,
Yeah.
and tell her
Yeah.
that she's invited to the June one.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And then I guess we'll find out what the process is for sure.
Sorry, I
Okay,
don't have it. I
that's
just
okay.
don't have an answer for it.
Okay, that'll work. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the Parks minutes, Parks and Trails Advisory Board minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look through those? The only thing I noticed on there was the things that were attached, the attachments were those weren't presented at the last I don't remember. Do you remember? This stuff is for this meeting, right? This wasn't.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
I don't know how it got attached like that. but
Right, so those need to.
It's not part of the minutes, correct?
Okay, yeah,
Oh, this stuff in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The minutes should only be the 3 pages with
Right.
texts.
okay.
Move to approve the minutes?
Second,
I have a motion by Don and a second by Michael to approve the minutes. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, minutes are approved. So we've got the changes to the agenda. Let's get started with the, do you want to start with the Parks Master Plan first?
Sure.
Okay.
You folks did a lot of work on this RFP. Something that I didn't give any input because I have no experience with RFPs or any particular knowledge or expertise. But you guys put in a lot of time and effort on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, we used a similar size cities plan that they had a really good process when I kind of looked into it, and so it just seemed like a good option.
Kelly, when were you planning on putting it on the street?
I mean, in my opinion, it's really up to you guys and how comfortable you feel with how it's written tonight, and if you agree with the edits I made or not. I am still waiting on Jordan to answer my one question on if there's any other things around SCC that he wanted to add to it.
I kind of agreed with Dawn on the SDCs, though, that we should.
Oh, not the SDCs, the
Oh, I didn't-
Sandy Community Campus.
Oh,
Of whether that's gonna be included.
He has told me that he wants to include something on it, but I think I asked him in my email here on last Thursday. I said, you mentioned in an email to Kathleen, Tanya, and I on April 20th that you're interested in incorporating some questions around SCC development. Based on the draft RFP attached in this email, do you want us to add anything else related to that idea? So I just want to make sure he didn't want us to expand on it or do anything else with the RFP. And then really, to answer your question, Don, it's really up to you guys. I mean, once you guys are comfortable with this RFP, I'll probably have it, just the second page, which references RS and stuff, reviewed by the city attorney real quickly, and then we can send it out as soon as you guys want to.
Are you gonna select based on score alone from the RFP, or will you be doing interviews?
Interviews with the firms, is ours.
Mhm.
Again, I mean, I think you guys can give us your recommendation on how you want to see it done. I was thinking more of, if you, say you get 5, and then you score to the top 3, and then you interview the top 3. That's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah.
But if you get 5 or 6, I think by scoring alone, you can probably get rid of a few of them.
Yeah.
So we don't have
Generally,
to interview all
yes.
them.
yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about that.
That seems like the usual, I think that's what we
Yeah.
did on Bornstedt Park, was scored them and then interviewed the top 3, I think.
There's usually a natural break, whether it's
Yeah.
2 or 3 or, whatever.
Right.
But, I was just wondering, I don't recall reading anything in here that they need to be subject to interviews or make themselves available for interviews.
Okay, so
So we should probably add that then.
add that in there.
Probably a good idea.
Into the
Yeah.
scoring section there at the end, towards the end.
Yeah, or just something that says the top firms may be requested to do this, and then if there's just one up here and all the other also ran, so you just eliminate and go from there. But, even so, you're probably gonna wanna meet with them beforehand just to review their scope of work and make sure that everybody's on the same page and understanding of it.
Okay. Yeah, we just did that on the Sandy TSB too.
Mhm. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
So I did want to bring up one thing, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, in addition to kind of just reviewing this, but it goes directly with this, is that Tanya asked me, because her and Sarah are kind of taking over the obligations of kind of running the Parks Board meetings, but they did ask me, because I was going to continue to help with RFPs and through this process as kind of the planning director, so I'm not like abandoning their department. But so it was kind of asked to me if you guys are going to want to have, and this is what the RFP reflects, so I told Tanya I think this is the case, but you'll have a TAC, you know, a technical advisory committee that's separate from the Parks Board. That's what you guys are planning on doing, right?
Planning on following whatever staff recommends, but I would assume that there would be some form of participation.
And the only reason why I asked that, and Sarah, chime in whenever you want, but it sounds like Sarah might be the liaison to the board.
Yeah, it looks like that's gonna happen starting probably with the next meeting, and that I'll become the new staff liaison to this board. So that's there, and then that was just one of the questions that we had, is once the master plan is in motion, is there gonna be a group, we call it TAC?
Yeah, the technical advisory.
That will be sort of managing that process, or advising that process.
So,
And
help me understand then, who is the staff person leading the master plan?
I think it's going to be Tanya. And it's going to be Tanya because she is also the person leading the aquatic center forward. And because we're tying everything together.
Okay, so it just seems challenging, is the word I'll use, that the person the person working with the Parks Board should be the person taking the lead on the master plan.
that's kind of Tanya's call, though.
Because then it just becomes who's doing what. Are you doing stuff, or is Tanya doing what? And communication becomes very challenging. Things didn't go that well with the pool community campus plan, in my opinion. There wasn't really good communication, and I don't want to see that repeated. So I guess I'm just concerned about, what I kind of told Jordan was that, I want somebody who's enthusiastic, capable, and consistent was the main word of somebody who was going to be working with the Parks Board and working to shepherd the master plan. And I didn't, that's all I asked for.
Let us circle back, because to be honest, is we're just getting through the budget process, and we were still trying to determine what we were going to be taking on. So we haven't had a lot of time to talk in detail about all this. So I hear absolutely what you're saying, and we'll continue to talk back and come back and update you on that, and we'll connect with Jordan on it.
I would really suggest not putting it out until you can identify who the lead staff
Okay.
person is on it.
I mean, I think honestly it's probably going to be Tanya. Now, whether she decides to hire somebody else, it was mentioned at one point Nancy or somebody else, that's really going to be a decision Tanya makes. But as the department head, it's going to be her decision in the end on how it, not the whole RFP, but how it's kind of managed.
Well, so whoever it is needs to be at the Parks Board meetings, every meeting, because it's going to be a long process. We're going to be talking about the master plan at every meeting.
Yeah, but that's the point of the technical advisory committee, though, is then they report back to the Parks Board meeting. You wouldn't just talk about the master plan at every Parks Board meeting if you also have a technical advisory committee. That kind of takes away the point of having the technical advisory committee. So that's why I was asking, are you guys going to
Well, as you can see, we're not like, a mile wide. We're kind of a mile wide and an inch deep here. So, or we're not even a mile wide. We're an inch wide and an inch deep.
Well, so that's why I'm asking, is there going to be a separate technical advisory committee from the Parks Board?
I think it's important to do that. I mean, again, that's something that it would be helpful to talk, whoever's taking the lead, it'd be good to kind of sit down and talk about the process. I personally would like to see, some representation either on this board or otherwise, the sports ball field people, the dog park folks. I mean, I'm a dog park person, but, there's, Don, I'm chiming here, there's other roles that, you usually are represented on a technical
Yeah,
advisory,
it might-
trails, runners, and,
It might be helpful to put together a little flow chart that pretty much shows who's, where those responsibilities lie.
Yeah.
And if it's a technical advisory committee, great, pretty comfortable with that. But at least, kind of maybe outline how many people, what representation, what the responsibilities are, frequency of meetings, along with who the lead staff people are, what their roles are, what the expectations of those meetings are. Is it expected to come to every meeting? I don't know. For the Parks Board, or is it something that will be, a representative from the Technical Advisory Committee aside from any of the Park Board members? So, I think it would be helpful to just have a little picture drawn out there for us that shows what all those responsibilities are and who's reporting to whom on each of those functions. I wouldn't put an enormous amount of ink on paper for that, but just
yeah,
a little something to help us.
yeah.
Good suggestion.
Okay.
Don, I'm having a little difficulty hearing everything that you're saying. I don't know if
Okay, I'll use my outdoor voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, one thing is if you do decide, or Tanya decides to have this other person hired on, I think it's important for that person to have a chance to review the RFP and weigh in, because if they're going to be running it, it'd be helpful. That'd be the one comment. I haven't had a chance to review the RFP changes, final changes, in the couple days that I've had it. Is it possible to have another day or two to look at it and get back to you on stuff? Would that be okay?
I mean, especially if we're waiting. I mean, like I said, it's your guys' decision on when it goes out, really.
Yeah.
In the sense that staff, this is my feeling on it at least, staff doesn't really want to send it out until you guys are comfortable with
Yeah.
it.
Did you have a chance to kind of read through it, Don?
Yeah, I've read through it.
Do you have any comments, edits?
Suggestions? I think I was not aware that there was going to be a formal technical advisory committee. Maybe I missed it within the RFP. If it's not there, we need to be sure and mention that they'll be working with the technical advisory committee as opposed to just with the Parks Board. Did I miss it?
Yeah, it's on advisory committee meetings, task 1.5.
Okay.
I mean, that's what, I took what Kathleen had and just made small tweaks here and there, and then
Yeah.
a few slightly larger ones based on the email I sent.
Sure.
But it was laid out with the technical advisory committee being
Good.
part of it. Or I don't know if it called it a technical advisory committee, I think it just called it an advisory committee.
Yeah, and I took that to refer to us.
Mhm.
And maybe it does, that's what I'm kind of, I just don't know who that's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I think, that's why I was, hoping that we could kind of recruit these other members representing these other areas, because I think, that's going to make us a more robust Parks Board if we have other interests represented.
I can reach out to some of the, folks from youth sports and adult sports. Lori's a good representation for a lot of the adult sports.
Mhm.
But I can reach out to some people.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it, pretty frequently that we have some positions available, and people say they're going to apply. I haven't seen them come through yet.
Yeah.
So people are surprised to hear that they can get involved that way. So
Yeah.
I think these will be
Yeah. Yeah.
great. I put one up at the dog park already.
Did you?
Because I
Okay.
happened to be there the other day,
Okay.
so.
Good.
I mean, page 9 does refer to it says the consultant will work with city staff, the board, advisory committee, city council, so it does allude to that it's a separate
Yeah.
thing from the board.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're not gonna send it out until, there's that flow chart and until we decide who's running what, then it's, you know, it's not gonna go out in the next few weeks then anyways.
Well, I think, you know, like I said, whoever's running the show needs to have the final review, and I'll look through it and just give you some feedback on after, by Friday. How's that?
That sounds fine.
Okay. Yeah, I had the chipper at my house, so I've been doing a little chainsaw.
Yeah, and if you
gardening.
really focus on that email I sent, on the task I changed,
Yeah,
that's the main changes. Other
yeah.
than that,
Sounds good.
anything else is like
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
one word or something
Right.
like that maybe.
Sounds good.
And then I'll follow through with Jordan on, and I'll loop Tanya and Sarah into that more too, on if he wants anything else in there around the Sandy Community Campus.
Any other comments? Good, okay. So we'll get any additional comments by Friday to Kelly, and then wait to hear back from y'all on who's carrying the torch. The next thing was the survey results. Did everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty impressive response.
Yeah, one of the questions I had is, were we able to control for, I don't know how SurveyMonkey works, but do you guys look at the IP addresses and account for double voting and stuff
I
like?
shut that off.
What's that?
It's only one, so there's two ways to go to it. I know what you're saying exactly.
I don't know how it
I just shut
works.
off, so a computer can only vote once.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of stinks because if there's like a husband and a wife or two people in the family that want to vote, it won't allow that. But at the same time, you get away from the double voting.
But then you can also like vote with a phone and vote.
Correct, yeah,
So-
any other device, and everybody has multiple computers. now, so.
And your iPad and
Right.
your.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
But yes, I did turn off that thing so you couldn't like put in several comments.
Yeah.
Because you never know, if you get like 50, if you get 50 back or something and somebody does that 7
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
then kind of skews the results.
Well, I don't know, what's the population around there? I mean, I think a lot of people had interest in the splash pad that, you know, live beyond
I think
Bornstead
it's
Park.
not, you can't really think of it as just a neighborhood park anymore because of the splash pad.
Yeah.
and the community garden. I think it's more of a destination now. And so it's like the dog park, you know, people come from all over.
I mean, only 18% on page 9, only 18% of people identified as being outside of city limits.
Oh, 18%?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right, and less than, 35% maybe, so they're within walking distance of the park. So you had a pretty healthy response from outside the immediate neighborhood too,
Yeah.
but within the city limits, so.
Yeah, so I mean, on a few of these, it's very, like if you just walk through them, the first one, it's obvious people want the covered one for all year round for rain and shade. The second question, everybody was pretty much, I mean, it's like 90% almost were in favor of 2 or more structures, so. And then if you went to question 3, it was like 70-something% was in favor of the combination of tables and chairs and benches. So there could be kind of a mixture of uses under there. I did see quite a few of the comments said something like one of the shelters should be tables, so you can have like a birthday party under there, and then the other one should be a little bit more just like random, so more people that don't know each other can kind of mingle. Thought that was kind of a good suggestion.
Mhm.
And then the other 10 pages are all the comments.
There were
I just printed them all out
yeah.
so you guys could have them all. There's only a couple really negative, like anti-park people in there. There's only like 3 or 4 that I saw.
Yeah, give the money to the police department.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those.
Yeah, you're gonna have that.
Oh yeah. Always gonna have that. But actually, there wasn't that many of them, which kind of
No.
surprised me.
And
So,
number
yeah.
8, we'll be providing hot dogs out there for people.
Yeah, there was a few hot dogs.
Did you guys notice there's quite a few like hornet bee nests?
The
So I was gonna ask, was that a problem last year?
I have no idea. I have no
There
idea.
was a wasp nest on the shed at the community garden.
Oh,
I think Joe took care of it pretty early on, but,
it's gonna happen too.
yeah, exactly.
I did notice the couple comments saying that the playground was not, that it wasn't suitable for 3 to 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely an older kid playground. It's not a toddler.
And the slide apparently has some
It does. Yeah.
There's oh yeah.
Kind of whips you.
Yeah, there's a hard right turn at
hard
the
right
bottom.
turn at the end.
Yeah.
My kids like it, but yeah, a lot of kids get whipped kind of
I
on
saw a
it.
kid take a header today off.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He survived.
Yeah, my kids like that it kind of whips you at the end.
Throw secrets.
Well, it's on the other hand, a lot of the other parks, the tot lots. Well, I mean, there's the one over at Bornstedt, or
Or
Cascadia, I mean.
yeah.
That's definitely a 3 to 5-year-old, isn't it?
Yeah, I was there recently with older kids. I think there's a good mix there.
It's pretty
Yeah.
small, little.
It's small, but there's still a lot of climbing structures
Is
and
there?
there's the
Yeah.
high bars and,
Okay.
Well, there's
This-
still quite a bit of room over at Bornstedt if we did want to at some point
Yeah.
add
add
some
a little
additional
tot lot to it.
structure.
There's plenty of space for it.
I saw a very cool kind of nature play space down at OES. Was down there for a lacrosse tournament. And just a neat, a lot of kids on it bouldering and
Yeah.
really neat.
I was surprised how many basketball court requests there were.
Well, there is,
Yeah.
that's in the plan, that's phase 2.
Phase 2, there's a basketball
Yeah.
court.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. And then restrooms, we've done porta potties out there, or?
Had porta potties out there for quite a number of summers, kind of right around the time that school's out through Labor Day.
Yeah. And how old is the park? I was asked that today.
My son was like 2, so I think
And
it's
he's
like
37 now? or-
Yep.
It's like 4.5 years old, maybe.
Okay.
It's older than that, I
No?
think. Really?
Maybe 5 at the most. No, he played on it
Okay.
right when it opened.
The
Oh, right, I
master
remember that
plan
we
was
did
done
the
in
ribbon cutting.
2011.
You're right,
Yeah,
you're right.
I've looked at the
And-
master plan.
Yeah, and so then the
Yeah, he
park,
might have been 1.5.
I have pictures of the park.
It might be only 5 years
Uh,
old. It's not any older than 5 years
Yeah.
old, because my
It's
son
right
was
in there
5.
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
We started getting a lot of phone calls, and we had put some porta potties out at Bluff, because we did some camps there and some
Yeah.
events. So then we started getting more and more phone calls about restrooms at Bornstedt.
And are there,
2014.
will there be any programs out there?
A few, coincidentally, we're doing a day camp out there this summer, just 2
Oh.
weeks. 2 weeks of, part of a day.
Sure.
But not summer-long type programs.
Right.
But you have the community gardeners that are there, and they're not all from the neighborhood. You have people that come from all over for the splash pad.
Sure.
So that's pretty busy
Mhm.
every day it's warm.
Once we get the phase 2 parking.
Parking lot, yeah.
Then we can start renting out the
House.
house for events, weddings,
Right, yeah, because that's been
family
rented.
reunions.
Yeah, it's vacant now, I believe.
I believe it's vacant too, yeah. But it was rented for
Oh, it's
quite a
vacant
long
now?
time.
Yeah.
I think just recently though.
Oh,
Yeah, within a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's a
Folks
pretty
moved out.
nice place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
Pretty
place.
good deal for
Peeking
rent.
windows.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice inside, yeah. It's got some clear vertical grain doors and trim.
Now, is there ever any thought to using the plumbing from that to, accommodate a bathroom that would work both for that building when it's a rental and for the park, with separate entrances and exits?
Oh, to put like a bathroom in the garage or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's something that could be looked at,
Yeah,
definitely.
just
Good suggestion.
seems like it saves a footprint and a little construction.
But it definitely saved costs,
Yeah.
plumbing and
Yeah.
everything. Because you would
Right
have,
there.
you would already have the shell and you would have plumbing right there in the building.
Mhm.
There might even be like a laundry room right by the garage or something.
Well, they had it in one of the bedrooms at first. The people
Oh,
that
did they
lived there
really?
kind of had some weird
Huh.
setup.
It's like it was built in different stages. that
Yeah.
house, so it
I
has
wish-
some
I've never
funky-
been inside of
The
it.
last plan was to have a caretaker live
It's
upstairs
Mhm.
and then downstairs,
facility.
right.
I know that when we did a facility in Gresham, we made it so you could, had one set of restrooms right next to the spring water, and had a set of restrooms in the building itself, that you could
Mhm.
access it from the inside and shut off the internal doors.
Mhm.
So somebody couldn't use the trail, come in, use the bathroom, and access the building. It was,
Yeah.
shut off, or you could open it up and have people
Mhm.
go both ways.
Trying to
And
remember.
that worked out pretty well.
Yeah. It's a good idea to at least use the garage and, like you said, use the footprint.
Yeah.
I did notice some people said stuff like changing tables and stuff like that too, so,
Well, it's nice to have it in a restroom.
yeah, especially with a splash pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I get concerned when we start adding restrooms because the budget, we need to have the budget to support that.
Of course.
Yeah. And it was, having been on
Yeah,
the budget
because it
committee.
takes- there's maintenance and cleaning and all that.
Oh, it's a big job. I mean, it's one of those things that you just, like, oh, we didn't get the lawn mowed this week, we'll get it next week. You can't, and, you have to lock them up and, because otherwise, you get all sorts of, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, somebody's got to be there, and if somebody's sick, somebody else has to go and lock
Sure.
them up and all that. So it's one of those, if you decide to take that on, then, In the meantime, I think it'd be helpful just, if we got the porta potties out there,
They will, but they will be. We haven't delivered them yet, but.
okay, because it's opening tomorrow.
Oh, it's open.
It's open?
My grandkids have been
We
playing in
normally
it.
do about the
Yeah.
middle of June, about the time the kids get out of school.
Yeah.
Just been our normal timeline for it. Once the kids get out of school, it gets a lot busier but,
Yeah, it's just, it makes so hot.
yeah, I know. That's a good
I
point.
mean, I would
It's
tend to
just-
think that we should be putting them out there at least by Memorial Day, if not earlier, if it's warm. If the splash pad itself is open,
It is open.
yeah. I don't know.
I will make a note of that
Yeah.
and look into it.
I think it'd be nice to,
Something nobody's
Yeah.
really budgeted for, so.
and then if we, kind
That's
of
another conversation that's being had between
talking about those, hey,
Public Works.
Kelly, do you have any idea how much that Bornstedt, or that Boring Park shelter cost that you took a picture
I
of?
don't. I just wanted your kind of input on it, and then I was gonna reach out and see if they had any numbers, to see if that
Is
would
it
be-
new? 'Cause-
I think it's like brand new.
yeah, because I
'Cause
mean,
I was
they
just
used to
there
have,
last-
they had one with the bathrooms.
That's still there.
Yeah.
And then this is an additional one right next to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there last summer and it wasn't there, and then we got out of the car and the kids were running to the park and I said, oh, that's like
yeah.
kind of what we want, something like that. So I took a picture and
Okay.
I can reach out to them.
Yeah,
and
let's
see.
try to find out who, what the cost was, just to know,
Yeah, a ballpark on it.
I couldn't tell the size. I mean, I'll go look over there on my,
It seemed like a pretty decent sized one.
was it like a 20-foot by 12 by 20 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So, it sounded like, so there's kind of that option versus multiple ones, smaller ones. And did it sound like people wanted multiple ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was like 9-1.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely on that.
So,
And I think reading the comments, at least a few people, it sounded like the idea that a lot of people, or at least a few of those people had, was so your family and friends can meet at one, and then the other one could kind of be, and sometimes it would probably just be all different random people, but
Sure.
if you got there early in the day and you want to have like a little party there, you could kind of have one of the
Mhm.
covered structures. Somebody even suggested, oh, the city should rent them at like a charge or something. I was like, I
like
don't
the
know.
gazebo here?
The gazebo at the splash pad.
Yeah, I know, I mean, we rent out the gazebo here.
Right, yeah, I think something kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't there something in the master plan for Bornstedt? There's a gazebo,
There's two of them.
but it's not anywhere near the splash pad, is it? It's like
It's more as part of the community center,
Yeah.
kind of, to have the outdoor part of the,
Weddings and things like
if they're
that.
having a family reunion or a wedding or whatever.
But that is how the attorney viewed it, is that we could use SDCs because it showed gazebos in that master plan.
Oh, for the shade.
Well, they had a 12 by 14 you know that picture I showed you of the Costco ones that are cedar, I don't know, it's 6x8 posts, I think. They had one on the deck of our rental last week that we were in. It's very nice. They're very well built. I kind of checked them out. And they're very affordable, so you could buy, 3 or 4 of them and put them up.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, sorry.
Yeah, they had, is it on the, what's that on the,
Yeah, so my only concern is that whatever you guys choose, just make sure that that's what you want permanently, because after it's installed, that's how SDCs work, that'll be the only time you can use SDCs, and then if you need to replace it, it'll have to
Yeah.
be some other money we'll have to find,
Yeah.
or grants or something.
well, that one that you showed in Boring, I'm sure that was, you can find out how much it is. I'm sure it was, and having, 3 or 4 of those is gonna be a little bit, there was never a plan to have 3 or 4 gazebos in that park. I guess we'll just see what it is, but.
Yeah. I don't know if that one was done like partially on donation or something. I just don't know the story behind it at
Yeah.
all.
Okay.
Like there might have been some contractor that, I don't know. Because I don't know where Boring would get the money to do that.
Well, they got the grant for that whole trailhead station. They got
Oh, they did?
Oregon grant, I
Like
believe.
the CPO did or something? The planning organization?
The Friends of Boring or whatever,
Oh, okay.
and they went
Friends
through,
of
Oh, okay.
yeah, and they got, there was a grant to do the final spring water connection from Gresham, to pave that. That was done with a grant, and then they got the Boring trailhead station for the bathroom. Nancy knows about that. She was, she might have been involved in the
Yeah.
grant committee at the time. Are there any other comments on the Bornstedt survey?
So, do you want staff to look into options on costs and?
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah.
I do like the one at Boring, because I think the other pictures, and maybe this is kind of bleeding into the
Is
dog
this the Boring
park.
one right here?
Yeah, those are more for
Yeah.
the, I think James.
No, well, there was this
James
one.
put those there for the dog park discussion, Kathleen.
Kind of a salty dinner.
Yeah, that must be it. So the attached picture right there.
Does that say,
Right there, also attached picture.
does it have some
right
yellow
there.
flagging on it?
No, I don't see it.
No, I think. Kelly, when did you send that one for, oh, here it is. But this is, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry,
the
it is. It does have yellow tape. Okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really new.
Do you see this, Michael? So that just got constructed in Boring.
Okay, yeah.
That would
I
fit the
saw-
Sandy style.
Yeah,
I think for the most part, yeah.
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 I mean, the only, so the one part, if you put any structures, that's gonna be very expensive, is the rock.
Or you have to have a rock,
You're supposed to.
just a rock. Glue it on there.
A
Well,
rock.
the challenge with that is that's exactly what we did at the Cascadia one. And they
Yeah.
peeled it all off and,
So the other challenge with that too is if it's gonna be in a splash pad area and it's getting a lot of moisture around that rock, the moisture will get under the top cap.
You don't
And
even
then-
want that
No, you don't. So I don't know, I think we could make some sort of exemption for it,
for the splash pad, yeah. I
especially
mean,
for the splash
yeah.
pad, because I think it would just get a potentially really a lot of moisture in that rock.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do it right with real rock and everything and
Right,
and
but then
stuff,
the
but if
cost
you use
goes-
this cultured stone
Yeah.
stuff, it gets, that they, see all this rock out here? This has all been removed
Yep.
and new stuff put up because water was getting behind it, and I have the
It
same
was kind of
situation.
falling off the building.
I have the same situation at my house with a bunch of river rock.
Yeah, surprisingly, that cultured stone, it does get moisture behind it rather easy.
Well, they don't put it in right, it's the
Surprised.
problem.
Well, just as opposed to like hardy plank siding, where it has a better moisture barrier on it.
Well, I think that's an attractive shelter. I think it would work out nicely. More volume.
Okay. Any other comments on Bornstedt? Okay, the dog park upgrades to Sandy Bluff Park.
Okay, so, I wanted to update the Parks Board, a little bit about the dog park. It is 6 or 7 years old now, I think, Kathleen, is that about right?
Yeah.
And we always had the intention of, perhaps doing some different things with the park, and we've been able to raise through fundraising nearly $20,000. We hold an event every year called Dog's Day Out, and it has, helped us build this fund now for 4 or 5 years. And it seems like it's time to use some of those funds to do some things at the dog park. We have a lot of people that come out and support that event, and they're asking, we've been coming out for this event, we'd like to see some things happen. So there are some suggestions and things that I hear quite a lot. I've sort of been managing the dog park. People call me with comments, or I'm a user like Kathleen, and I chat with people a lot when I'm there. Shade cover, as we have been talking about, Bornstedt, is one of the big requests. And some ideas that we have would be in this existing seating area here. It's sort of an amphitheater style. And those are the pictures that James attached, was some suggestions is that we just had, something with 2 posts and some shelter on top here, which would provide both shade and then cover during the winter months as well. And then in order to serve, all the park users, this area here is generally used for small dogs. And so perhaps another smaller structure that would go on both sides of the fence, so we would be fairly efficient in how we design that. So there could be a bench here and a bench here and some shade on both sides. There is a bench under this tree, so it does provide some nice shade there. So I think this would be a priority. This would be sort of secondary. The third reason for perhaps even doing a third spot is that best practices when you're designing a dog park is you want to disperse the people and the dogs. If you have one shade structure and they all congregate in one area, that's not necessarily the best thing at dog park. You want to kind of disperse the energy and give people reasons to congregate in different areas.
They do congregate in those trees down by the
Yeah.
entrance.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there earlier, and we were, not just the people, but all the dogs.
All the dogs too.
Finding that
Well, they
shade.
get tired and then they go sit in
Yeah.
the shade. They're not stupid.
I know. And it's actually very good shade, and if
Yeah.
you're comfortable,
Yeah,
sitting
I mean,
on
just
the
some
grass.
benches over there would be probably,
Yeah,
you
not a
know.
bad idea too.
yeah,
Right,
I'm not,
some
I'm not
benches.
even sure if you need a shelter, if you had, 2 other shelters for the large part,
Right, right.
maybe just some seating.
Just some other benches in a few other places. I noticed people bringing in lawn chairs this week and just parking there. So that, James had sent, based on Dawn, I think your recommendation, he sent out sort of a request for some estimates based on sort of a similar type of idea that he attached here, but he hasn't heard back from those folks yet, so I don't really have an estimate of what the shade structure, the big one, might cost us here. So I'm gonna move on. The next thing is, it'd be really nice to have an information kiosk. Our signage, although is good, it's small, and Joe has put it up really high because he worries about getting vandalized. And I would really like to see us have an information kiosk that was secure, weatherproof, where we could post our signage as well as promote our fundraising events and other things we might like to promote, like Parks Board positions and things like that. But someplace that is very obvious, holding information about the dog park. That would be about $1,500 to do that.
So is that, I mean, I could see that being part of the structure, like between the big and the small dog park, and incorporating, you know,
Incorporated into that.
the bulletin boards or whatever you
Mhm.
call it, you know, the information boards into, you know, in between the posts.
In between the posts. I think that would be-
With benches,
I
things like
had-
that.
You know, I pulled out, I mean, you've all probably seen just different ideas,
Yeah.
things that we could do, but that's a
Yeah.
really, I
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
about
that
that,
would
that's a
kinda-
good suggestion, yeah.
Because that's where people are gonna sit anyway.
Yeah, and they can enclose that and create it so we can lock it and do
Yeah,
that kind of stuff too.
yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing that has been brought up more recently and totally understandably is a way to improve access. When you come into the small dog park over here, it's really steep. And during the wintertime, it gets very wet and muddy. It's just a uncomfortable entrance. So the other thing that I have noticed, and Kathleen, you can maybe weigh in on this too, is that I noticed that the small dog park gets used, not just for small dogs, but for people that have maybe a dog that needs a little less, less dogs to
Fewer
play
friends,
with, or
right?
they're a little shy, it might be their first time at the dog park, or whatever, they're recovering from an injury, so that other people will go into the small dog area and use that as sort of a multi-use area to remove themselves from the larger area here, which tends to get crazy and, you know, different times and use. And so I think it was Kelly and James made a suggestion, and I like the idea, is that we fence, I think James included a picture for you, but we fence another entrance in one of the easier access points here, which is flatter to get in. And it would accomplish a couple things. It would give us an easier entrance for some people who may have mobility issues or during the winter when this just gets really difficult, but it also gives us a multi-use space that people can use when they have a need to either remove a dog for one reason or another, or they have a shyer dog or what have you. And it doesn't really eat, I've gone out there and I sort of marked it out, it doesn't really interfere with this larger area where a lot of the dogs spend their time running and playing. People tend to congregate here and over here, but this area doesn't really get used heavily. And so it would achieve that entrance that we might like to do to give us a little better access for people that are uncomfortable coming in over here, and then give us an extra multi-use space for the dog park.
So do you see there being kind of connection between the big and the small one, or?
Yeah, so what we would have to do is have a maintenance gate for Joe. He'd have to be able to get in there. And my thought was we'd incorporate that into a safe in and out entrance for the dog. So probably a double gate, again, but wide enough that Joe can get the mower in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here, just one double entrance, kind of like we have at this end, not the
Mhm.
two, but just
Right.
one double entrance
Okay.
there. And that project, probably $5,000-6,000 based on the RFP we put out for the larger fencing, and then James inflated it for today's probably
Mhm.
market. And so we feel, you know, fairly comfortable we can probably accomplish that for about $6,000.
So if I was in the big dog park and I
Mhm.
wanted to go into the little dog park,
Mhm.
I could,
Well, you'd still have this gate, but you could also enter over here.
Oh, is there a
right?
gate?
And there's a maintenance gate right
There's-
here that Joe uses to bring the mower in to the small dog park. You just don't know
You
it's there, but it's there.
you can't get in there from, you can only get in there from the top right now.
No, you can get into the small dog park. There's a gate right here, from inside here.
Isn't it locked?
No,
Okay.
this maintenance gate is locked, but there's a regular gate right here.
Okay. All right.
There's, you know where the doggy waste station
Yeah, I
is?
hardly ever use the small one, so I'm,
Yeah, well, you know
I-
where there's that
yeah.
dog waste station that's in the main park?
Yeah.
Right next to that is a
yeah,
gate.
yeah,
So
okay.
that's how a lot of people
Okay,
do that.
all right.
But some
Okay.
people don't want to have to go through all of this to
Yeah,
get
to get
over
to that,
here,
right.
right? For
Yeah.
obvious reasons, different reasons.
Yeah.
So this would just,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
give us
Got
another,
it.
you know, not knowing what the shade structure is gonna cost, it's hard to know whether we could do all of these things with the funding we have now. We're kind of waiting to see. Based on the comments I get, I feel like priority would be shade and cover. I have a little, probably personal bias. I'd really like to have a place to post information that's a little more accessible, more likely that people are going to read it. And then maybe this area being the lower end of the priority. If we don't have all the funds right now, then as we continue to raise funds, we do this event every year, then those are things that we could do next.
Mhm.
But it's possible we could do it all.
I was gonna
with the
say,
funds
there's
we have.
also a fairly new, I don't know, she's been around for a year, a woman-owned fencing business in Sandy that
Oh.
you might wanna reach out to, get a quote from them too.
We'll let them know that, yeah, I don't
It's
know if
like
we-
Wendy Salix or something like that.
Would we put out a full RFP for
No, you just have to get 3 quotes.
3 quotes?
Yeah.
Because the work will, I mean, if you project that the work's gonna be over $5,000, which it's probably gonna be right at that, it sounds
Right
like
at that.
you'd have to get 3, you'd want 3 quotes anyways.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get a better
right, yeah.
idea
Okay.
what it costs.
Yeah.
All right.
So would just a shade structure be adequate? Is there a need for, and I imagine pretty windy out there.
You know, I think generally speaking, it would be adequate. You know, the people that come to the dog park, I think in the middle of winter are pretty well prepared. You know, they're dressed for the elements, they're wearing boots, they got their jackets. What do you think, Kathleen? You go there a lot. Would you want walls on that shade structure? Is that what you're thinking, Don, where protection?
Well, I've seen them with, 3-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So you have an opening that's facing out. That'd be an opportunity to put your signage or whatever you want to on the inside of
Yeah.
it if you needed to, but
It's a little more complicated because this is tiered seating.
yeah, it
here.
is.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the other structures,
Yeah.
way to have someplace
Yeah.
more protection on a windy day.
I do like the one, that you show the curved one,
Yeah, mm-hmm.
and that might work out nicely for the,
And it would look really nice, I think.
It would.
It would look really nice.
It would, but I don't think it looks like Sandy's style at all.
Well, I think maybe just conceptually in terms of shape and stuff like that,
Yeah.
we were just looking for solutions for this sort of unique
Right. Yeah.
area. It doesn't have to look like that aesthetically necessarily.
It was just the roof part, that
Yeah, it
clear
looks like it might be that corrugated.
corrugated stuff,
plastic
kind of was a little
stuff.
jakey in my opinion, but,
I don't know, you replace it with the old corrugated tin might be
yeah.
I don't know how that fits in the Sandy style, haven't
Well-
studied.
I
This-
don't think we could do that.
I wouldn't do it, okay.
Well, you have to do the 12-something pitch roof or something, don't you?
I think it's 612.
612 for,
I think so.
for a single
For a cantilever?
cantilever, whatever?
Oh, for that cantilever? I'd have to look at our code on that. I don't know the answer to that.
It would look
Yeah.
great, I think, it would be a really neat.
So the code, you have to do like a specific color metal or,
Metal's a good
like
option for dog
architect.
parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say you could do
Well, that is-
architectural grade composite, but I don't know if you'd want to do that on a whole structure.
You know, I think a metal roof would work nicely
Yeah.
out there, I think it'd look nice, it's just a
Yeah.
question of,
Yeah.
It's just more expensive.
Yeah.
Is it, it's more expensive?
Yeah, quite a bit.
that's why I was wondering if the corrugated would meet the standard.
One of the options is, if we could
Look
kind
at
of
that,
come
I
up with a design for it, that, trying to get that that, and if we do another smaller structure over by the the division part, and then also do the gazebos at Bornstedt,
Try to
all
get 'em
under
all.
one contract, you're gonna get a,
That's
better
what I wondered too,
cost.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sent
Now-
Kelly an email with that in mind too.
Yeah.
So how
Can
did
we
you guys
use any
fund the dog
SDC?
park before? Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Can we use SDCs for part
No,
of it?
James looked into that and we were told we couldn't use it.
From
Why?
the attorney, right?
Right, yeah.
Why?
I don't
We
know.
used it for the
The dog
dis-
park, right?
Yeah.
I know, I'd like to explore that a little
Yeah.
bit more. Yeah, I
Sure.
think that is the result we got.
Are you
but-
sure we used them for the dog park?
No,
I
I guess
don't
I
think
can't
we
say
did.
that for sure, but I
I
think
don't
we
think we
did,
did.
but, because we
Yeah.
didn't have one in town, and so that was a legitimate, a
Nancy-
new
Nancy
user
did tell
group.
us that, but I don't think we did. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but I don't think
Well,
did.
we know who knows.
But I know that James talked to the attorney about whether we could use SDCs in the dog park, and we were told no. So at this
Yeah.
point,
So,
so would we have to separate out those projects and
No, you can include it as one and just have them,
be funded with it?
you could just have them itemize.
yeah.
We do that with urban renewal projects.
Yeah.
here's the cost for these couple, here's the cost for this
Yeah.
one, and then they just paid out different pots of money.
Well, I mean, if you can, because obviously they're gonna give you a deal if, you know, for move in, move out and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no, we do that all the time though.
yeah.
Okay.
And I did look at some other designs for, because was thinking, you know, even a possible, community build for some of those
Mm-hmm.
that we could use, so, but, you know, if we can kind of come up with, designs for the two structures, and then, get some cost estimates.
I like the idea of putting the bulletin boards,
Yeah.
incorporating that.
That's kind of what I was looking at, 'cause
Yeah.
with benches,
Mhm.
and I did have three-sided, and then benches, and, you know, it was kind of the same style as that gazebo,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of the, you know, big timbered things with the metal roof, and, you know, sort of like what you got out here,
Yeah.
only bigger, deeper.
Try to save a little money where we can.
How much was that?
Spendy.
Do we know how much?
I wanna say like 17 grand.
17 grand, that's not.
Or
bad.
20 grand maybe. I mean, to be fair, part of that also is because they had to do a little bit of demo on like the old concrete and rip that out. There is quite a bit of rock on that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was they did have to bring some like new electrical up through it for the lighting and
Oh,
stuff.
right,
So
yeah.
there were some other costs that
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be associated with these
Is
structures.
that on the plaza? Or-
That thing right out here, the
Yeah.
entrance to the,
Just the thing right to the entrance.
In the parking lot there.
Oh,
and that's real rock, that's not cultured stone.
It's cultured.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's the
Mercy, that
exact
looks
same type
great.
as this right here.
Really?
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot better looking than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Hmm. So, yeah, just getting some, I'll kind of share with you the designs I,
Okay.
you know, kind of looked at.
Okay.
And, I didn't have one for the round, maybe we can kind of come up with something like that.
So I did, to add on to that, sorry, I meant to mention this in my email and I forgot. So I did look into the list that you pointed out, Dawn,
state bid?
and we
Oh.
don't have anything like that for the city yet.
Okay.
Can you kind of describe that
Yeah, I don't
again?
really know what it is. Yeah, I agree.
Well, state, you know, buys enormous quantities of things, and Oregon statutes allow piggybacking on other jurisdictions if there's an agreement between the jurisdictions. So basically, it's whatever the state has bid out, you have the opportunity to piggyback onto those bids. So if they've bought playground equipment for state parks someplace through Crosscraft. or-
Like the boring gazebo, they gave them a grant.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
Huh, I had
So-
never heard of that even before you mentioned it, and then I asked our finance director, do we have anything like that? And they said,
Well,
Not
I was
that-
not
not
familiar
yet,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
They should.
Yeah, they
It's
should,
so
yeah.
much easier.
yeah,
And I mean, they literally do all the legwork for you in
Yeah.
advance, and then
Yeah.
you're pretty much cataloging it, and
yeah, Sears
That's what I
catalog
want.
there.
so you don't even really have to send out an RFP, you just, because they've
No.
already done that,
you just
right?
purchase off a state bid.
Same
Wow.
song, second verse.
Yeah.
Sounds so efficient.
Where's the
Yeah, it
catalog
does.
of all the things? How do you find that? Is that,
You know, we always work with our purchasing department. They
uh-huh,
call up and say, do you have this, and yes or no, and we
Okay.
would,
So was that in Ashland?
yeah.
So
cool.
we need to give Ashland a call. The purchasing department in Ashland?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to say Gresham may have also had it, and Milwaukee may have it also. I was surprised when you said no.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed everybody did.
Mike might know, I think Mike's used that before for some
Probably.
of his stuff, yeah, so,
I need to ask him, yeah.
It just saves a lot of time
Yeah.
and a lot of energy for
I did want to
people.
let you know, I did look into it, and I was
Good,
like,
I'm glad.
no,
Yeah.
we do not have that yet,
we
so.
need to get on that bandwagon. That'd be great,
No, I was excited to hear that.
yeah.
Any other comments or
Um,
ideas?
I like the idea of adding another controlled area. You know, some people have dogs that don't socialize really
Yeah,
well, but they want to
yeah.
get out and throw a ball for them. That makes it kind of nice for
Yeah,
them.
I think so too, and you watch, I just been watching how the small dog park is used, and it's not just by small dogs, and so
Mhm.
I thought it doesn't really interrupt the larger area to add that space,
Mhm.
and then also just, I see a lot of people with small dogs just creeping down that hillside in the winter
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
in there, so.
When they said no on the SDCs, did they give you a rationale for that?
I would have to look back. It wasn't like an email, I remember, but
Yeah.
I'd have to look back.
It wasn't no because it's not in the CIP, it was.
I think that might have
I
been
think
the
that's
reason.
probably the
Yeah,
case,
I think
yeah.
that
It
is the
seems to be
case.
that's the answer most of the time,
Yeah.
is that it's not currently in our
Plan,
language.
yeah.
You know, but we have these funds to use that I think
Yeah.
people will be really happy to see, the results of all this fundraising come to fruition and.
I'm just gonna throw out there, though, we did have a dog park in the master plan, the need for a dog park.
Mhm.
And we're doing the budget and the CIP list this month. Maybe we add that on there. You know, I mean, we'd probably be adding the Bornstedt structure, gazebo on there, anyways, just 'cause it's something we know we're gonna be using some money to pay for, and then adding this on the CIP, then that gives you that legitimate CIP list,
I mean,
which
to
is
me-
all we used before.
Yeah. To me, if we were to use, it would be nice to find out if we used SDCs on the dog park, because if we did,
Yeah,
to me, we're using them again because we're
Yeah.
adding more capacity
Yeah.
with all the new residents around there.
right.
So to me, it seems like
Yeah.
an SDC expenditure.
Well, and then just putting,
Worth
you're doing the
revisiting.
budget this month, and this is the perfect time to add it onto the, you have some very general stuff on the and the way we did it before was we had some general stuff as placeholders, but then we had specific itemized lists of things, and that got approved by the city council, which was the mechanism to then use the SDCs. So that.
Seems like there's been a lot of discussion about that list and that it's being updated and so forth, so we'll revisit that, we'll find out if we can,
Mhm.
Yeah, I would like to look into that one again.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments on dog park stuff? Hey, yeah, and you might, I'll get you the name of that other person, the fencing company. It's
Okay.
always good to go
Okay.
local if we can. Is there any old business? Let's finish new business. So one of the things was that Champion Village or something?
Yeah, Champion Village Park.
So has everybody had a chance? I'll get this open for you to look
So
at.
I'll just give a 1-minute summary. So there's 65 townhouses being built out there. They're on like the last, I think 18 or something like that. And they started on the east end and they've been going west. And so the last 12 or last 18 houses being built, townhouses, are kind of surrounding your guys' future parkland there. And instead of asking for permission or anything, they just started stockpiling dirt on the city-owned park property and putting a whole bunch of materials on it and everything else. I mean, the good thing is there's no improvements there yet, but they also don't own the land. It's city-owned land, so. The public works director wanted to tell them to get all their stuff off there, but I wanted to run it by you guys first.
Tell them to get all their stuff off there.
Their equipment, that's not a staging area.
No,
It's so ridiculous,
Yeah.
isn't it?
it's absolutely,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it will only get worse. It
Oh,
will
yeah.
only
Yeah.
breed more, so
give them an inch.
nip it in the bud.
This is all on the future parkland.
Did you see those pictures?
Equipment and
that I forwarded?
everything.
And that's,
I don't think I
I
must
did-
have
I
missed
think,
that
I
one.
think I just
So-
sent, well, I just sent them at 6:30.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Speaking of which, though, is there any plan to develop that park? I mean, I haven't been down there.
I mean, I think that's kind of up to you guys as far as in the parks master plan, how high you guys prioritize
Uh-huh.
developing something there.
But like, they're doing the streets, right? What,
No, they're building all the houses now.
right, but the street, is there a street going past the park?
Oh, I see what you mean. At least, that's a good question.
Like, I was looking at lot 12, and I assume there's a street in front of lot 12 and the park's to the left. I don't,
There is some street in front of the park. I don't know if it goes the full extent of the park, but at least a portion of the park would have street frontage already, built out.
what about sidewalk?
No sidewalk shut, yeah. Cause if you see on the pictures, do you see on the second picture there where there's like
Yeah.
plywood and right against the fire hydrant? And
So the street trees are there.
Yeah.
That's in
right.
the hill strip.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, there
there.
might be a sidewalk there, yeah.
Well, there's
Looks like there
either
is.
that or
They've got stuff all
Does
Yeah.
set up on it.
There's a lot of stuff on it.
does it end right past the arrow on Tree Scar? I don't know if it keeps going. It's hard to say.
I think it goes all the way down to like where that white truck is.
Okay,
down
how
there.
about if they put in sidewalks?
Let me see,
Yeah, it does look like there's, I don't know.
I'm gonna look at the aerials real fast here.
For goodness
Okay.
sake.
Will it show that new?
Well, I think the sidewalk, if it's there, was put in like years ago.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
huh?
the existing street only goes about halfway down into the park.
So the park's kind of on the end of the development.
Yeah. No, I don't, yeah, there's the sidewalk.
Did they get a dog waste station or something they were asking?
Yeah, somebody asked for a dog waste station over there. And Mike said that they would put one in, because I guess all the new people moving in, they're looking for somewhere for the dogs to go.
Sure.
Because they don't have yards.
Right, yeah, very minimal.
Well, it's just, so for future reference though, it's sometimes helpful to give them, SDCs to put in the sidewalks and things like that that we need for the park anyways when they're doing the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they may not develop the park, but we definitely need the site. Just from a cost standpoint, it's a lot cheaper to just
Mhm.
give them SDCs for another 100 feet or whatever the thing is than to have to go get a cost estimate on getting 100 feet of sidewalks gonna be
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of expensive.
Well, it's gonna be hard to even get anybody to bid on that.
Exactly, so just for future reference that,
I mean, Mike was having a hard times getting like somebody to bid on this Sandy Bluff project. That's like a
fixing.
$280,000 project, and we were having trouble getting
Yeah.
people to bid on it. So something like this,
Yeah.
probably won't even get anybody to
Yeah.
bid on it.
So when you guys are doing these, reviewing the applications and stuff, kind of making sure that
Yeah.
park frontages for the road improvements and
Yeah,
anything that
besides.
we'd be responsible for, it's worked out real well in the past when we went ahead and had them do it.
Yeah, no, I
'cause
agree
it
with
saved
that.
a lot of money.
Yeah, I think this development, the streets at least, were put in before I even worked here, because it was kind of sitting there
Yeah.
It sat there for
as
a
a zombie
long
subdivision
time.
for like
Yeah,
a decade,
right.
basically. Because I started working here 8 years ago today, actually. And
Congratulations.
this thing was actually already, I think the streets inside, everything was there already.
It's been there a long time. Okay. So,
Yeah, happy anniversary.
okay, we had 3 things. We had the
Is that a good thing?
posters, which is old business. We had the Champion Village thing, and we had
Longest Day Parkway.
Longest Day Parkway. Let's,
So the end result of that was tell them to get that stuff out of
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so Longest Day Parkway is an event the city, I think this would be our 3rd or 4th year doing Longest Day Parkway. And it's an annual event that is moved around to different neighborhoods, and we close streets off so that families can bike or walk or skateboard or do whatever, and then we set up, all the city departments set up a station and have usually some sort of activity, and council usually does a barbecue. So it's a big city sort of get together, an opportunity for people to touch base with different departments, and at the same time promote different ways of transportation that don't involve cars and getting around your neighborhood. And so this year, we had initially thought we would tie Timberline Trails and Deer Point together. 2 schools of thought there is that getting the Deer Point neighborhood involved in the discussions about what may happen there. There's some growing frustration, I think, among the neighbors over there about that park space and being undeveloped. But we also know that that's going to be coming up in the master plan, and so I think there was some sentiment that maybe that would be a little premature. So we're just getting some feedback. Do we want to try to tie both of those neighborhoods into the Longest Day Parkway this year, or just keep it to Timberline Trails? And then know that there'll be a lot of public outreach coming for Deer Point when the master plan is in process. I live in Deer Point myself, full disclosure. So, don't know if you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on that? Because one of the ideas we have is we would start gathering some input from neighbors in Deer Point about that property.
Let me just, Don, the Deer Point, are you familiar with that
I'm not.
subdivision? So, let me show you where it is. Is it? What, give me a street over there, Teresa?
Antler.
Yeah,
So just while she's looking, so,
yeah.
now I've lost my thought.
Well,
darn.
the plan was that we, when they did the development, we got this parcel right here. So here's Highway 26, and it's,
Yep.
the Catholic Church is right over here, St. Michael's. Here's Lang and Sand Road here. And so, are you kind of oriented? Here's
Yeah.
DeBarco. It's kind of like the end of DeBarco.
Sure.
And then, so we got this parcel.
Post
You're
office is-
familiar with this, aren't
Up in-
Yeah,
okay.
kind of over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere that might be nice for
So
them.
So we got this parcel right in here, and the plan, the assumption was that when this developed, we would get the other half of it. So that, because now we have about 1.3 acres, I think, something like that. And so then we'd have more like 2.6, 3, something like that, when all this developed, and we
Mhm.
would kind of make it adjacent. And that we would go ahead and develop the whole park at that point, because we're gonna have to do street improvement,
Sure.
we're gonna, sidewalks, grade the whole thing. One of the things I think, I don't know if it was mentioned in the 97 plan was, or at some other time, it was, people wanna not pickleball,
Oh,
what was
they
the other?
wanted disc golf.
Disc golf,
Hmm.
yeah, disc golf was one of the options for that site. Anyway, we haven't gotten the other parcel, it's not developed still, and so obviously these folks are upset that they don't have a park, and
Sure.
legitimately so. And so the challenge is, do we go ahead and, do a small 1.3 acre park with the expectation that when that develops, we'll make it bigger?
Mhm.
That may be what we end up doing, rather than waiting another, 10, 20 years
Right.
for that to develop, so.
Is that even in the city's UGB?
Oh, you mean if we
Um,
voted for this?
Sorry.
That's some of the stuff they added in there, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be at
Yeah.
least 10 years before the land gets
I
done.
can look it up on my Google.
Okay.
So
we might as well go
anyways,
ahead
so
and-
that's kind of what she's talking about. So, and Timber Park, Timber,
Line trails.
is that this? No.
So what we were thinking was that it would be an opportunity for those Deer Point neighbors to come out and talk about what their hopes are for that piece of property, but by the same token, would we be premature, and would we be setting up expectations that it's going to be developed?
I can promise you, you will be setting expectations.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a little risky unless, where is it on the CAP? Still unfunded project, or?
No, it wasn't never, we
Yeah.
were waiting until we had development to do the whole park. We got that
So it
land.
doesn't even show up in the next 5 years?
No, we just had the land dedicated, but we were gonna be looking at it at the master plan. That was, with the new master
Well,
plan.
then I would suggest that you tackle it more from a master plan perspective,
Yeah.
not an individual park plan, but the overall master plan, and just talk to them about,
Start talking
yeah,
specifics then.
Mhm.
yeah.
Because the whole mindset might be changing a little bit in terms of, because that piece of property isn't moving, doesn't have a lot of interest right now, right?
Are we maintaining that parcel that the city
We've
owns?
just
got
mowing.
dog
Okay.
stations out there and,
Okay. So they can walk on it, they can run their
Yeah.
dog on it.
It's actually a
and-
great
Yeah.
little open space.
Yeah.
for-
Right.
yeah.
So the nearest park is this Timberline Park over here, and, that's over here, so
Sure.
that's kind of the,
That's okay, so
Yeah.
they're looking for a little tot lot and a playground and,
yeah, so that may be. But it's obviously gonna be covered in the
the
master plan as a high
So
priority.
we'll-
I
okay.
I expect that to be kind of one of the higher priorities that comes out of the master plan, to do something. And, the other option is to, purchase that other land now and go ahead and, move forward with the park. That's another option, something.
Yeah, the reason why that property hasn't been developed is the ODOT improvements alone are like over $1.5 million.
Oh, right.
Because it has to go through to the highway. So DeBarco has to be
So
extended
you-
to the highway.
okay.
So that's why that
Because
property.
ODOT typically doesn't grant additional egress off of the highways, do they?
But DeBarco's a major arterial,
Yeah,
so that
DeBarco's
the
in
plan
the
is for
master
that to
plan,
kind of
so-
come
Right,
out
so
over
DeBarco
here.
will access the highway, but the
Yeah.
individual property won't.
Correct.
Yeah,
But
they'll
the-
have to do the DeBarco thing, right?
Yeah, and the DeBarco thing's not that spendy. It's it's spendy. But
Yeah.
they'll be accessing DeBarco. The highway costs are what's holding the project up. Because you'd have to expand the whole width of the highway.
Uh-huh.
Because they want a decel and XL lane to turn onto DeBarco. They want the center lane to be widened, which means you have to build a bigger retaining wall on the north side of the highway.
Do they want a light also?
Not a light, but basically everything beside a light. So it's
Everything
a
light,
lot of
yeah.
money. So I think the only way that's going to happen eventually is if the city gets it like into a CIP list, does it, and then gets some reimbursement from the developer or something.
Yeah.
Because I think if it's just done by the developer, I don't think it pencils for the subdivision.
That's how we got DeBarco.
Right.
Sorry. I thought I turned this
Interesting.
down.
I mean, we've had probably 7 or 8 pre-apps on that property in the last 5 years, and everybody walks away saying, yeah,
No.
it's not happening. The ODOT improvements are as soon as they hear from ODOT in the room, it's like, yeah, this project's done.
Yeah.
So Kathleen's suggestion might be the way to look at it through the Parks Master Plan is, do we just want to buy a chunk off that property, and then when they develop and not worry about it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll stick to the Timberline Trails neighborhood and do the route and map for that event
Mhm.
through that neighborhood.
Okay, so the old business are those posters. Thanks for laminating those.
Well, I think who did that?
It was one of my, it was Marisol.
Okay,
and-
great.
You,
in
did
my
you
office,
do them
yeah.
up?
I just printed them. She did all the actual work.
So-
Laminating each one.
So the plan is, we're gonna kind of divvy them up and go post them. So we'll, Susan was gonna go post some, and everybody, if you're amenable to that, we'll take them and go post them.
And I think you had like 2 of one, 4 of one.
Well, the general park one, I had more. I
Yeah.
had, I don't know, I think
I'll do this.
So
this is
hopefully I
another
printed
dog
them
park one,
correctly.
I can do that one.
okay. So I kind of was gonna get both entrances
This
to the,
one's a
there's Tickle Creek.
trail, and this one's a
I'll do
park.
the Tickle Creek one,
Parks and
and,
Okay, so I've got these, I can separate them out from parks.
Yeah, and if you guys, I mean, moving forward, do you guys have a laminating machine down there and stuff?
We do.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
and then we also have that little flyer that I did that, what we can do is get some of those printed out and just give everybody on the Parks Board one and staff and stuff, and so when people, when you see people that, might be interested, I'm gonna keep in my car or purse or something, I just hand them that to kind of give them something to, follow up on. I always just say, just Google Sandy Parks Board. But
Might be good to have a couple that are like, just have big things that say, wanna get involved with parks.
I have that, that's,
You have that
that's,
too,
yeah,
okay.
I have it's kind of more, it's got some pictures and stuff, and it's a little bit more description.
Okay.
This is just kind of get people, like, I want some dog park people, I want some trail people, I
Yeah.
want, people from these different parks. So, we'll take those and kind of divvy them up amongst ourselves. And, yeah. So, any other old business? Thanks. Just use some packing tape or duct tape or
Sure.
something, or, let's see, this is,
I'm pretty sure I'll be by Bornstedt Park tomorrow.
okay, this is,
Well, these are all the same, aren't they?
these, well, some of them are, these
I
are
had
the,
them
these are
separated
the,
out, but-
these are the general park ones. Yeah, these are the general park ones. And this is the tickle,
Nice.
this is
Yeah.
Tickle Creek, I'll do that. I'll do
Like
trail.
a little call.
And you've got the dog park ones, and then these are just the general ones. So what park would you like to go to?
Well, Bornstedt is very
Bornstedt,
convenient, and there's another
and
one
then-
up on,
Cascadia?
yeah.
You'll do that, okay?
Well, the only park I know is Tickle Creek.
But you're over there by, what are you over by?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember.
But I'll go someplace else, it's not far.
Will you do Barlow and Hamilton Ridge?
All right.
Okay. And
Mine.
I'll put one at Sandy Bluff Park, since I live in the neighborhood. She's got the dog park covered. So what else are we missing? Let's see.
You may need to come and present.
If you know what you want Susan to do, I can drop them
Yeah,
off.
that'd be good. Okay, so you're doing Barlow Ridge and Timber, and Hamilton Ridge.
Barlow and Hamilton.
And you're doing Cascadia.
Mhm. And Bornstedt.
And Bornstead. Will you do Timberline too?
Yeah.
That'd be,
You say you just
it's
do
got a
Timberline.
basketball court there.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
you
And
can just
then, would you do Knollwood Park? That's on
Some
the
of the
tick,
main
well, I can do that
parks.
one since I'm doing the tickle.
I used to
I'll
take
do
them years
Knollwood.
ago.
Would you do Salmon Estates? You know where
Sure.
that is?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know
Okay.
if they're the
I
Great.
used to live across from
Oh,
that.
good.
Mhm.
All right, so
This
you're
is
doing
15
Salmon,
minutes.
Barlow, and Hamilton. I'm doing Sandy Bluff, Knollwood, and Tickle Creek, and you're doing Bornstead, Cascadia, and Timberline.
Okay.
That's it. Cool.
Great.
It'll change it to
All right.
this.
Oh, we don't have one from Meinig.
So we just stick these up
I might
with a
get a
tack
couple more.
sometime?
Tacks or
Tape.
packing tape, duct tape, anything like that. Make it look as nice as you can.
Yep.
And kind of, you know, if there's like a gate or something into it, or, you know, something that people are gonna wear, they'll see it, you'll figure. You know, just do that. We might need a couple more for Meinig, of the general park ones.
What's that?
Can I get a couple more of the, Sandy? And can I get a couple more of the, just the general park ones that have the playgrounds and splash pad on them for Meinig Park?
Which one does it look like? It's like the.
It's got the
The splash
playground
pad
and the
on it.
splash pad on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll.
Print
yeah.
off a couple more and laminate them for me, and I'll,
How many, like 4 more or something like
well, just 2 for Meinig. I think that's the only one we didn't get. We don't have the skate park, but.
that? You don't want a skate park member, skateboarder on your.
Hey, it's diverse, we welcome diversity.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items for the agenda? Staff updates?
I did have one.
Uh-huh.
I think you guys, so all of your pictures are on the website now.
Oh, God.
and
Uh-oh.
I think.
Oh, God.
They created.
Photoshop
like,
us?
What's that?
Photoshop
No,
us?
they all turned out good, I think.
the
You guys,
filters.
did you guys see that email that you're getting like a phone number or something that people
Yeah.
can
Oh,
call?
right, yeah.
And it's like one generic phone number that people can call and you would all get the voicemail forwarded to your email.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that you guys all understood that, so.
And we'll get a notice if there's a call, right?
Yeah, it comes right into your email box,
Yeah.
and then you can actually just click on it, and there's
Listen.
a little attachment at the bottom, you click on that, and it'll play it through your computer.
Okay.
And I'm sure there'll be people actually probably calling that line once this parks master plan is up and running. That could be the trick that you do, have a booth at Long State Parkway and ask people to call that line, and then they can be inundated with phone calls.
So here's where it's a little bit hard to get around, because, you know, I go to volunteer, and there's a listing of like the planning commission, parks board and stuff, but there's no link to it. Trying to.
For what now?
For, like, I'm trying to find our
Go to the
pictures.
website.
Oh,
Not
right,
that I'm-
I'll tell you where to go. So if you're on like, just like put your cursor over About Sandy, and then click Staff Directory right below Contact Us.
Maybe there does need to be like a.
And then what? Oh,
And then Parks and Trails Advisory
Okay.
Board.
oh, geez. Lord.
Dawn.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you found it.
Oh, that's a good picture, Mike.
Hmm.
You got the flag in
Put that
yours.
in the
Yeah,
notes
very
as a decision.
patriotic.
I like Dawn's. That's-
Susan's is nice, yeah. Okay, good. Well, any other things for the good of the city? There was one other last thing on the agenda. What was it? Staff updates and board members. Oh, Lori's not here. Was she?
She just sent me, I think she sent you something too, saying that she couldn't make it because she had some repairs go on her house that
Okay,
went longer than expected or something.
okay,
She said that like right before we
okay,
began.
yeah. Okay. All righty.
So
Well,
next time, we're gonna see draft bylaws?
Most likely, yeah,
That's what we're shooting for.
unless I'm advised otherwise, but yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. I already actually added it to your, I was updating your future schedule thing and I was putting it on there, so.
You have to train me on that too.
Yeah, it's just
And
this
agendas.
Excel, it's just this Google Docs.
Oh, okay, and it's just shared document?
Mhm.
Is
I
that how
think I
you do
shared
the
it with
agenda
you.
too?
What's that?
Is that how you do the agenda too?
No, this is done in iCompass, in that
Okay.
system. This is just so I can then copy paste and send it to everybody and say this is what I have so far.
Okay.
Otherwise, I didn't have any way of really doing that. Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry,
can
so
sit down.
are we gonna have that?
I think so.
Okay,
So it'd be a review of draft bylaws and also review of,
Roles and responsibilities.
yes, thank you.
the what?
The roles and
Oh, right,
responsibilities.
okay.
Yeah.
And so can you send that out ahead of the meeting so we have a chance to
Oh,
review it?
yeah, definitely.
Great, okay.
Great.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll get some clarification on the process for
Uh-huh,
finalizing that.
uh-huh. And then we'll hear more about the, who's taken the charge of the light brigade there with the.
In terms of the master
Yeah,
plan.
right.
Okay.
As soon as you know something, let us know.
Okay.
That'd be great. Just through email.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if we know something in the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
The
I would
next 2 weeks
expect
or
so.
so.
Because we gotta get on this,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then if
Exciting.
you guys can get us your comments if you have any extra ones by the end of the week, and then we'll
Yeah.
incorporate those next week. And
Okay, great.
Right.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Oops, excuse me.
Oh. There we go.
Thanks. So I should go snorkeling in Key Largo, huh?
see, it's still.
It's been
And it looks like we're the only
20
ones
years
who are.
since I've done anything with it.
Yeah,
Probably
it's delayed.
longer.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
But, yeah,
did you go in
if you're ever in
Hawaii when
Florida-
you were there?
Huh?
Did you go in Hawaii?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
That's the only place I've ever scuba dived.
Oh, really? So you did?
We took a